Hello and welcome. Uh, I am Mike Connor. I am a business coach here in North Georgia, and this is the inaugural show of this show that's going to actually get really big. And I'm super excited about you joining me today. This show is called In the Treehouse because I am in a treehouse. And in the future, we're going to be bringing some guests in to join me in the treehouse. And what we are going to be doing is the subtitle is Recapturing the Dreams of Your Business. It is super exciting. I've shared this with a lot of people. They want to share their dreams. They want to share where they've come and where they're going, and all of that. And we'll talk a little bit more about why a treehouse and all that sort of thing here in just a few minutes. But first, I want to give you a little bit of background into who I am, why am I doing this, and why should you even be watching today. So, like I said, I'm Michael Connor. I have been doing risk-taking things almost my entire life. And in doing that, I have been part of business startups. I've been part of big corporate activities. I have done a lot of exciting things over the years. My first career, I was a pastor. I served two churches. One was in Hudson Falls, New York, a wonderful little town in far north country of New York. This week they're probably under snow with all the snow that's been happening up there, and just absolutely wonderful people up there that I loved. After 6 years there, I was asked to start a church in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and so I moved to Pittsburgh and started a very innovative church in the mid 90s. It was called the Sanctuary, and it was designed for people who had not been a part of church before. They hadn't had that experience of a relationship with church or with God or anything, and were really seeking out that relationship. We started that church really with four values, and these four values are so critical for who we are and who I am and what we do. The first value is we believe everybody needs a place where they feel welcome. In this society today, especially coming out of COVID, the Surgeon General has said we have an epidemic of loneliness. People don't feel welcome. People feel isolated from one another. Business owners, particularly, I believe, especially feel lonely. They are trying to, run these businesses and help grow their business in order to support however many people are working for them. Imagine if you're not a business owner, you're trying to, meet your bills. In the last years, with inflation and everything, it has been really hard. A lot of people are struggling to put food on the table these days. Well, imagine a business owner who's not only worried about putting food on his table, but he or she are also thinking about how their employees are going to be able to put food on their table, how their employees are going to be able to pay their rent or their mortgage or their car payment or their kids' tuition, all of that. And business owners take that on for themselves for the benefit of others. But it also creates a very lonely place because they have all of this stress. And so we want a place that's welcome, a place where people feel like they can talk about things. It was a nurturing place where we grow and we learn and develop and grow into new beings. It was a place where we share. It was a place where we understood I learned as much from you as you learned from me. And it was a place where we celebrate. Right? That was the fundamental core of the church. And it was risk-taking, and it was new, and it was exciting. And it was so much so that the denomination I was with decided they didn't want me anymore. And rather unceremoniously said, thank you, but no thank you, and sent me on my way. Well, I went from that with these four values, always part of my life and part of who I am. And I started into corporate life, and I started adult, project management, how to do a lot of things that they needed to do in their jobs. And I went from that into other roles. And, I spent some time with a large accounting firm as our senior manager of travel. And it was so much fun because I could travel and have a lot of perks of travel back then. And it was, just exciting, right? And I left that and I went to a large data company, Nielsen. And I got to learn how media is handled and how data is handled and how businesses use this data in order to price and to sell and to market and all these things that businesses need to be able to do in order to get their product to market and to actually make money. I left Nielsen, and then I was asked to move from Tampa to Georgia, where I was the chief of staff for a very large financial tech firm that handles billions a year in money being transferred all around. And I got to learn about the fraud and risk management and running this $1 billion business unit. And it was super exciting. Several of those opportunities ended in me getting a severance package, right? As corporates are, you grow and then you cut your workforce and then it grows and so forth. And so I got 3 severances over that period of time. One from the accounting firm, one from Nielsen, and then one from this financial tech firm, Fiserv. And I figured 3 strikes, I'm out. Plus, working for others, I'm not going to get where I want. I'm not going to be able to achieve the life that I want, the dreams of being wealthy and of having a lot of things. I'll get to a certain level, but I won't be able to achieve it all. And so I decided to start my own business coaching firm. And it has just been an absolute thrill. I get to work with some of the best businesses out there. I get to work with the cool kids. I get to work with people who want to achieve their dreams, who see the abundance that God has for them and want to dive straight into it. And I get to help them to move. This business coaching practice and work has led me to the opportunity to, this past summer, buy a new home in Ball Ground, Georgia, which is where I am, in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Absolutely gorgeous. Yes, cold, but it's beautiful up here, as you can see around me. This new home, we came in, looked at it, let us showing, and there's this treehouse in the backyard of this house. And people were like, oh, well, you're going to tear that down. My kids, they don't come up here. They're a little bit older, 13, 14. But they, everybody's like, well, what are you going to do with the treehouse? And I thought, that is a great place to do a show. The idea of having a treehouse. Every kid wants a treehouse or something like it. Every kid wants someplace where they can allow their imagination to go wild. Every kid just has the fort, the whatever, climbing the trees and doing all of that. And it's super exciting. And, and you just, when you're in the, nothing else in the world, you can think about how great things can be. You can become kings and queens and all of that. And just a wonderful opportunity. And so I decided I'm going to use that treehouse to bring in and let them share their stories. Let them share their dreams. Let them share where they've come from. And so here we are in the treehouse today in our first episode. And, in the future, we're going to be bringing in business owners and experts and people who are living their dreams and are just having a fun time in life. And we're going to learn from them where things have gone and how things are for them today. An opportunity for them to share with you the good things and sometimes their struggles, because all of those sorts of things are part of us welcoming and nurturing and sharing and celebrating. You'll hear that often. That is a recurring theme for me and for, I think, everybody who is going to be watching this. That's why we're I've shared a little bit of my risk and where I've come from, but let me share a little bit more. Don't get to success without taking risk. There is there is not this idea that you get something for nothing. It just, and so in order for us to achieve our goals and our dreams, we have to take risk. When I was considering starting the church, I went to a conference and there was a speaker there who was talking about church growth and different things in church. And he had this phrase that stuck with me. He said, "I would rather risk failure than never make an attempt to achieve my dream." It is just an absolutely brilliant idea. I would rather risk failing than never attempt it. If we don't take the risk, we will never get the reward. And so throughout and it's an opportunity to actually get somewhere that we haven't. So I'm super excited. Hey, shout out, great to have you. Thanks for joining. So glad to have you. And by the way, you can pop questions in, and we'll get to Q&A in a little bit if you have questions. But really appreciate everybody being here. So, let me share one of the biggest risks that I took, and that is, just before COVID, like, I had completed a big iServe, and our team was essentially being outsourced by, we had acquired another company, and the other company, all of their folks were staying, and we were all leaving. I got this severance and on, and then a month later, COVID hit. And I was like, what am I going to do? And nobody was hiring, doing anything. And I thought, I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to incorporate this faith that I have, this pastoral idea that I have in business, and to help people and to nurture them and help them to grow. And so my wife and I, we sat down and we talked and we prayed, and we were like, okay, we've talked about doing this for years. Now's the time to do it. There's no better time to do it. And so we took this risk and we started this new venture in a city where we didn't know a lot of people, in an environment where we couldn't go out and meet people. And in the crazy world that was there. And we trusted God and said, okay, God, you've put me here and you've brought us here for such a time as this, right? And we started doing it. And slowly we met people and we told them what we were doing. And they're like, yeah, we want your help. And I've had the absolute privilege of helping hundreds of people over the last 5 years to grow their businesses and to achieve more and to grow themselves, and seeing businesses double their revenue year over year, and people who were driving small cars getting into all of this really fun stuff. And then, being able to give back and all that. And it wouldn't have happened if I weren't willing to take that risk. And the idea of it's not just a risk for me, but by taking the risk, I actually have had the opportunity for other people to take risk and achieve more and achieve their dreams. And that's what it's about. So I want to take a second and talk about this idea of dream, right? We're in the treehouse, recapturing the dreams of your business. Dreams for me, when we have a dream, a daydream, whatever the dream is, my belief is that that is something that is God inspired. The dream that you have, and everybody has dreams, the dream that you have didn't just happen because there are electrical neurons that are bouncing against each other and it creates a picture of something. It is because there is a divine spark that has said this is something that God would desire, your abundance, right? I think, dreams are a vision of how things can be. Now, sometimes they're fuzzy. Sometimes they're, not real clear. And that's part of this idea of, okay, let's get them clear and let's get them to where we understand what they're going to be. But the dream is that bigger thing. Now, there may be some people who say, yeah, but dreams, they this and that, and, it's just pipe dreams. It's like, no. A dream is real. A dream can be real, right? There may be people like, yeah, I was a if we don't have those dreams, there won't be new things created. Every invention that has ever been made started with a dream. Every new idea starts with a dream. And so dreams are important. And every business that's out there, every business owner that I work with, every business owner, they had a dream. And that's the idea of this is let's hear what your dreams are. Let's hear what you want to do with your life and how it's going to get bigger. I have friends who some people would say they've already achieved their dream. And yet if you ask them, and they'll be here as at some point, they still have bigger dreams. That's the beauty of a dream, is you may reach one dream and then there's another that gets even bigger and better and more glorious. And so, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about our dreams. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about how we do it and all of those elements that make our businesses successful. There will be times when we're going to bring in some folks who are going to give us some tools, right? I don't want this to just be us hearing, okay, yes, somebody's dream, and yeah, that's kind of cool. But I actually am going to be bringing in some people in our fields that will teach us, how do we accomplish sales? How can we market better? How can we scale? What are the things? So you could be sitting there saying, I have this big dream, but I don't know how to do it. Well, I want to offer you the tools, and I want to bring in people who will help you and give you some of the tools in order to do it and to achieve the dreams that you have. And so, we don't have all the agenda lined up, but I'm in talks with folks about having them come in and share with you some of what they've have learned over the years, and how you can grow from them. We'll have a lot of different ideas that come in, and allowing you to be a part of it. But mostly, I want you to be interacting, right? There's going to be people who are here and sharing their stories. I can tell you some people who are going to be here. One person, great guy that I've been working with for some time now. He's got a landscape architecture firm here in town, in Atlanta, called Root Studios, and he'll share his story about how the idea of Root Studios very much so goes back to his childhood, and how it was a dream that he had when he was just a little boy climbing trees. That's a great story. I met some folks last night and invited them to come on the show. They are in the Rock Hall of Fame. It's going to be a lot of fun. These guys are, out of this world cool guys. And sharing with them, this idea of the show, and they're like, we want to get there. And you'll have an opportunity to interact with them and ask some questions about what it was like growing up in one of the top rock stars of all time. I'm teasing you. So you got to get back, and we'll let you know when they come on. We've got lots of folks who will be coming in, and you'll get to hear their stories, right? And they're real stories. They're authentic stories. They're genuine. They're not always rosy. They're filled with challenges and risk and failures and, some of the tough stuff, right? But that's what makes life. Life is not just the good all the time. It's sometimes we're faced with something that's a challenge. Sometimes we have bad things that happen to us or to people that we love. And us dealing with that. There will be people here who will share some challenges. So people who have gone through addiction, right? And have come out on the other side and have struggled with their personal demons in that way. And how they overcame that in order to achieve dreams of massive success, right? There's going to be some really great stories in this treehouse. And so I am super, super excited about this opportunity, about God bringing us to this house with this treehouse. I'm excited that it is freezing cold today because it really gets me energetic and wanting to go and having to move in order to keep my blood moving, and not freezing while I'm here. So I think for today, we're going to be a little bit shorter today, cut it a little bit. But I thank you for joining me today. It just means so much to me. I have to thank some people before we go. I want to thank the sponsor of my show and the production team of this and the future shows, Fist Bump, and Brandon Lee, who runs Fist Bump. Fist Bump is a great tool out there to help you to use LinkedIn and other tools to get your message out. He is working with CEOs across the country in order to develop relationships and make LinkedIn a true social platform of becoming the experts in your field and people seeking you out. And so thank you, Brandon, for sponsoring us. Thank you to all of my team who are behind the scenes, Alec and Noor and Reem and everybody at Fist Bump who are just making this happen, and all the hard work that you put in, and taking this then and putting it out there so that other people can see it. I couldn't do it by myself. It's absolutely impossible for me to do it. Plus the fact that I have no idea what I would be doing, and these people are experts in the field, and so I appreciate their sponsorship and their support. It is absolutely me, just uh, you know, grateful to no end for what they're doing. Um, so this will be our time spot, 1 o'clock, Wednesdays, Eastern Time. I will be here in the treehouse unless the weather is absolutely so bad. I am not going to be like those soldiers at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier that are out there 24/7, regardless of weather. If it's snowing in a blizzard, if it's raining and everything, this thing is, I may not be in the treehouse. I may be elsewhere here in the house and someplace that's safe. But if we can, we're going to be here in the treehouse. And if possible, we're going to have somebody with me here in the treehouse. Or they may be on Zoom, joining us remotely. But we're going to have fun. We're going to learn. We're going to share. We're going to welcome. We're going to nurture. We're going to celebrate. That's what life is about. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I don't know if there are any questions today. I'll just wait a moment for my team to pop if there is. If not, then I had a fellow once when I was at Nielsen. He had a process where he would count down from a certain number, and if he got to 0, then he would end it. But if he didn't during that time, got a question, then he would keep going and repeat the process. So I'll start my countdown right now, and if we get a question in, awesome. If not, we'll close out the show. So. All right. I don't see any questions coming in. Thanks for joining me. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next week, 1 o'clock, Wednesday, right here, LinkedIn. Check us out. Have a great day.